And we're going to go into our news of the week, which is brought to you by Eagle Mortgage, eaglemortgagecompany.com. You can find them in person, though, at 114th and Davenport. And they are famous for helping you get your piece of the American dream. Doesn't matter whether you want to go conventional loan or FHA, VA, one of the specialty loans, they do that. And remember, Eagle Mortgage is not a bank. They're not beholden to any bank. And so they can shop the market and find the best lending solution for you, customize it, personalize it. And, you know, it's the year end, and a lot of people come January, once the holidays are in the rearview mirror, they're going to be thinking new house. One of the first things you want to do is contact Eagle Mortgage, eaglemortgagecompany.com.
They soar above the others, but won't make you soar.
Trenton, the big news this week is a change of ownership at the Crossroads. We knew this was coming, but it is official now. Woodbury Corporation, based in Salt Lake City, is now the owner of the site. They took
a third of the site.
They took charge of the development a while back, but this was just kind of a formal real estate transfer. But in that, a couple things are significant from a news angle. The first one is that the project is now estimated to cost $900 million. So let's just call it $1 billion, which makes it one of the largest real estate developments in the state of Nebraska in history.
I remember when $1 billion was a lot of money, Jeff.
And the other thing that is significant is we now know that in the first phase, there will most likely be a 92,000 square foot indoor entertainment venue. During the press conference announcing this earlier this week, Jeff Woodbury from Woodbury Corporation said that this will be operated by a very large, major national chain. Some company that is big in the indoor entertainment world. Couldn't say who it is. They were still technically at the letter of intent phase, but it was portrayed by Jeff Woodbury that this is almost a signed lease, and thought that it would possibly be announced even within the next month.
There were a lot of rumors, Jeff, even 5 years ago, under Lockwood's watch, that Main Event, you can look up Main Event Entertainment, those types of things. There's also down at Grandscape where NFM has a $1.5 billion development, which I've been down there. They have, it's Andretti something, similar with a huge multi-level indoor karting. And so I don't know if those are what's looking at it, but when you say indoor entertainment, you know, there could be a bowling aspect, there could be a movie aspect.
Arcades can be involved.
So it exists already if it's a chain, but I don't know which one it is. But most of these are not 92,000 square feet. The Andretti's about 100,000, but we'll have to see whether it happens.
Yeah, it'll be fun to find out exactly what this company is. And like you said, Trenton, at 92,000 feet, it's going to be a hell of an investment and probably a pretty impressive place. Now, a couple other things that are relevant. The amount of tax increment financing remains at $105 million, even though the value of the project is now getting close to $1 billion that will be invested. And there is going to be a very unique and at least unique for around here relationship with some of the parcels on the development. They're actually going to be turned into condominium regimes in which part of some buildings, namely the parking garage part of some of these buildings, will be a separate piece of real estate owned by the city of Omaha. And then the other parts of the buildings, which would be apartments and retail and this sort of thing, will be owned by the developer. There will be 3 new parking garages constructed, at least one of which will be underground. Now, some people have been wondering about this next thing I'm going to say and wondering why. But eventually, not in the first couple phases, but eventually the existing parking garage, the very large Crossroads parking garage on the southwest corner of 72nd and Cass, will be torn down. And some people said, why would you tear that down if you're going to need the parking anyway? Well, in order to maximize the layout of the land and to get the most value out of it for the new developer and to make it a great community asset, that parking garage is kind of in the way of what they want to do.
Interestingly, that Frank Krejci, I remember him bragging about it. You know, he bought the entire site for probably 15 years ago for $10 million, very little due diligence and everything. But he thought that parking garage was worth about $20 million. Just upgrade it a little bit, put some LED lighting in it and everything else. And now it's getting torn down.
Well, and if you recall, when Frank first got started with his original partner that he was going to do the project with, there was actually talk about building apartments and condos on top of that existing parking garage.
Yeah.
And so we've gone from that to having it torn down. Hey, I do want to address one thing, too, about the Crossroads before we move on too much further. We continue to get a lot of cynical and skeptical and pessimistic and sarcastic response about that project. And I get it because it's been talked about
years.
for such a long time and it's been vacant for a long time. But I think people need to know one thing. Trent and I look at this pretty closely. We study this stuff. I can assure you there is nothing sinister. There is no conspiracy theory. No one is out there trying to stick it to the people of Omaha to make sure nothing is ever built at the Crossroads site. We get all these emails into Omaha and everyone's like there's some hidden thing that's causing this not to be built. Folks, there are a lot of reasons why this has been delayed, not the least of which was the original guy who was behind this died a couple years ago. So there's been a lot of things that have happened. And the only thing I can tell you is just look forward to the future. With Woodbury, this new company that has taken over this week, they already have $5 billion in assets under management. There's a capable developer there. They have properties in 16 states. It is a great corner. In fact, Jeff Woodbury said this week publicly that 72nd and Dodge is the #1 retail intersection in this region of the country.
Yeah, I think that it's a very complicated site. Obviously, it's an expensive project, and when TIF is involved with the city, this would have been a totally different project if they would have gone forward 10 years ago.
Yeah, and it would have been a lot less. Would have been a lot less money invested as well because costs have gone up so much. But situations change. Every piece of property is different.
The final thing I want to say about it is, Jeff talked about condos where you can have a vertical or horizontal property with different food groups, different uses. You might have a parking garage that's one condo, then an office, and then residential, some retail on the first floor. That gets complicated on the financing, on the cross easements agreements, the use agreements, easements, and all that kind of stuff. So, yes, it's taken a long time. There's not a lot of people that'll take risks like these people have, and we'll wait and see. And there's plenty of other projects going on in Omaha while we're waiting. But it'll be interesting to see what the mix is between entertainment. There would have been a lot more office 5 years ago.
Yeah, pre-pandemic.
And there's going to be a lot less office now, and there's going to be a nature space and things like that. And you got the library across the street. And then on the northeast corner, there's a lot of rumors that that's going to get redeveloped where the Petco is. Funny
that you should mention that because you said there are a lot of other projects coming, and that was the first thing that came into my mind during the press conference that was held this week to discuss the ownership transfer at Crossroads. Mayor Stothert revealed that a developer who is yet to be named is planning to do a mixed-use project on the northeast corner, as you mentioned, Trenton. That is currently a Petco building, Petco store. When you and I were young guys running around Omaha, it was a hinky-dinky grocery store.
Yep.
And so it's a very, I would say,
Anderson Amico was on the corner.
Right there in the corner. And I'd say right now it's a very underutilized.
And QB Kirschenbaum's 1 hour photo was right there too.
Yep, I'd say right now it's a very underutilized piece of property. And if you look at it, it's pretty big. And so when we're hearing mixed use at that corner, given everything else that's going there, I guess I would assume probably 5-story building with retail on the ground floor, apartments upstairs. What's on your mind?
I think about that and vertical and some kind of funky mixed use. But I also think about the bowling alley behind the swivel to the north. it drives me crazy to see that antiquated piece there.
But that was one of the
Big
first things
parking
ever
lot.
out there.
Yeah, but that needs to be redeveloped sometime too.
Also, during the same press conference, toward the end, a reporter asked Mayor Stothert a different question. The reporter said, "What about the old Civic Auditorium site? Anything new there?" And she kind of had a smile on her face and started to say something, but said she really can't say much about it. But she did say that there was other interest in the property, possibly a different developer or a different user. And another time she said another idea for development there. So currently, the developer that holds that site, it was sold by the city, is White Lotus, and they proposed a project known as Civic Square, which was going to be they were going to put in the grid back, because it's a 4-block parcel. They were going to put in some streets there, like 18th Street and was it Davenport or something like that. There was going to be an office component, townhomes, condos, apartments. None of it was overwhelming in size or scale, but it's 4 blocks, so it was quite a bit of development. So the big question is, what is she talking about? Who might this user or developer be? And is it more along the lines of what White Lotus proposed, or is it something completely different?
And will it have a sizable grocery store?
Well, everyone keeps talking about the grocery store, and that question came up in their press conference as well, as you might imagine. And there's still a lot of talk about grocery stores in downtown or even north downtown. But we shall see. Well, let's wrap that up. That's the news of the week. Before we go, though, I do want to give a plug for our Grow Omaha Eats restaurant review, which is sponsored by All Makes, the outstanding office furniture and equipment dealer based in downtown Omaha. At any rate, Grow Omaha Eats restaurant reviews are written by Chris Corey, our outstanding restaurant reviewer. This week is Avoli Osteria. Now, Chris says it's Avoli. It's pronounced Avoli, but I always thought it was Avoli. But what do you call it, Trenton?
Avoli.
You call it delicious. It is really good stuff. Great review, positive review. It's in Dundee, right across the street from KFAB, and you can see that review and all of our Chris Corey Grow Omaha Eats restaurant reviews on growomaha.com.
If you like this video, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. And remember, Grow Omaha is not just media. This is a mission. We are trying to build up Omaha and make it an even better place. We can only do that with your help. Share this video with your friends, neighbors, and family.